I do think that the logic often is, particularly in the case of a place like Iran, the logic is if we make life so difficult for these populations that they will rise up and help push forward regime change, and we haven't seen that kind of outcome yet. The cost that it imposes on various populations is one that reflects poorly back on the sanctioning country, so in this case the United States, and it can harm our credibility in those countries. The cases where it is different, and this gets into utilizing sanctions as a much broader policy tool, part of one piece of the function is the case of South Africa, where that was part of a series of policies by different countries around the world. The key difference there was that it had buy-in by the local population who supported that, even though they were also suffering from the damages of sanctions. For them, they were pushing back against the regime already. You already had this local uprising, and this was something that was helping the population there. I think that when you don't have that, and when there is no hope of public pushback, political pushback against a regime, it's incredibly damaging to the people, and it also gives the regime an excuse. And again, this is not saying that the sanctions are the causation, but it gives the regime an excuse to say, see it as Western sanctions that are causing your suffering, not our regime.
Artie, is it in fact ethical to impose sanctions that are going to hurt the population at large?
It's not ethical, and we have to constantly be aware of how we can minimize that sort of damage. But my question is, why are we attributing these side effects to the sanctions and not to the regime that they're being put on? We see it time and time again. The dictators that these sanctions are directed against let food, medicine, other perishables rot on the docks. They misappropriate and outright steal money that's been earmarked for aid. And they use sanctions to oppress parts of the population that they feel are subversive. That is a justification for why sanctions should be imposed in the first place. The sanctions put a premium on resources and money, and they choose to enrich themselves and further oppress their populations.